So here's my simplified version of the aerobic system, and I broke it down into, so we're going to start with the fuels that we generated actually in glycolysis. So you need glycolysis to run at least a little bit to create the fuel sources for the mitochondria, right? So we have our pyruvate, we have our NADH. So remember, NADH is the electron carrier, right? It has a high energy electron. And so these get put into the Krebs cycle and the aerobic system. We'll go through those a little bit. But before we get to there, so the aerobic system takes a couple minutes to warm up. So this is why, this is the big reason why before races, before swim meets, you do warm up. There's other reasons too, and we'll talk about them in different chapters, but one of the main ones is to get this engine warmed up and ready to go, so that way when you jump off the block for your 200 or 500, this thing is running at least at a higher rate than if you did not warm up. So just to compare to glycolysis, remember in glycolysis we got 2 ATP per glucose. In the aerobic system we get closer to 34, so way bigger number, but again it takes a longer time. So this is not the same as how much ATP you can produce per minute. There are a couple byproducts that the aerobic system creates, so CO2 and water, and we'll go through where those actually pop out. And then a key thing to note is that this is the only system that can take fat and burn it, right? So I didn't put it here in this picture, but you can actually add fat as a fuel source. The one thing to note is fat, even though it can be burned, fat's a really big storage molecule. There's some extra steps into breaking it down, so burning fat is actually even slower than burning, pyruvate or the other, or NADH. So although we can burn fat, it's even slower, and you'll get even less ATP per minute. And these become important later on when we talk about nutrition and this and that. So just to compare to glycolysis, so this can produce about 60% of the power that glycolysis can. Okay, next we'll talk about kind of these individual parts a little more detail. So let's start with the Krebs cycle.